What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you back on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be looking at one of the main types of textile construction methods. I'm talking about knitting. We've done a separate video in the past going over the key differences and similarities between woven and knitted textiles, and I wanted to make another episode for those of you who are interested to go into further depth on knitting. We'll look at the key terminologies associated with knitting, how a knit is constructed, and ultimately we'll look at the single jersey knit, which is the most common type of knit within the knit family. If you guys have ever been interested into going into more depth on textile construction methods, we'll do a series related to this if you guys let us know in the comments below. And without further ado, we'll get right into it. Hey guys, and welcome to Fittdesign TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. Knitting is the most common type of textile production where we take fibers and convert them into yarns, and then we knit them into the finished textile. There are two main types of knit fabrics that we see in day-to-day experiences. The first being weft knits, and the second being warp knits. Some common types of warp knits that you see in everyday garments are things like tricot and milanese. These tricot knits are typically used in lingerie as they are very susceptible to running, or otherwise known as unraveling. When it comes to weft knits, these are extremely common in day-to-day clothing as they're much cheaper and easier to produce. However, with weft knits, you run the risk of running or unraveling of fabrics when they're cut. This leads to them having to be repaired. So warp knits are more durable in that sense. Now that we've looked at the weft and warp knits, let's look at the anatomy of a knit. When you look at a knit up close, you'll sort of notice two things. One is you have a right side up half 8, and then you have a downwards half 8. These are intersecting and interlocking, and that's what creates the knit. We'll use some visuals for you guys to get a better idea of how it looks, but we'll look at the anatomy. So when it comes to a plan view of a knit, so we're looking at a knit from top down. The upper portion of the knit, or the portion where you have the right side up 8, is considered to be the needle loop. And then the portion where it's right side down is your sinker loop. Your sinker loops lining up are what create these horizontal lines, otherwise known as courses. So if you look at a fabric, you turn it inside out, you'll notice horizontal lines. This is because of what is known as a single jersey warp or weft knit construction, specifically weft knit in this case. And then when we look at the vertical lines that go up and down, these are created by the needle loops lining up, and ultimately these are considered to be wales. We'll go into more detail on what a single jersey knit is because it's part of the weft knit family, which falls under the entire knitting kingdom per se. We touched on the idea of vertical and horizontal lines that are instantly visible when looking at a single jersey knit up close. Well, I sort of mentioned why that is, but if you take a common everyday t-shirt like the one I'm wearing, you'll instantly recognize on the right side up, aka the side that is facing the viewer, that you have these vertical lines going up and down. These are when the wales line up. So what you're seeing on the front are the wales. This has to do with the way the knit is intersecting each other and ultimately how the yarns are moving through the fabric. If you turn the fabric to the back side, what you'll notice are horizontal lines going if it's a single jersey weft knit construction method. Different fabrics like interlock knits will have different visual properties, and we can go into that in a different video, but you will notice that one way to instantly tell a single jersey knit is to flip the fabric inside out and notice the horizontal lines that are because of the courses, or these are because of the sinker loops lining up. We've already explained that there are two main types of knitting families that are out there. We have on one side the weft knits, and then on the other side we have the warp knits. Because of their ease of construction, weft knits are by far the most popular types of knits. And within that family, single jersey weft knits are even more popular. Single jersey weft knits are seen in pretty much everyday garments because of their ease of construction and how very not time consuming they are to produce. They're characterized by vertical lines on the outside of the fabric and horizontal lines on the inside of the fabrics because of the wales and the courses. When it comes to their properties, they stretch in both the crosswise and the lengthwise direction. However, they are more stretchy in the crosswise because of their knitting nature. At the same time, do bear in mind that single jersey weft knits can be easily unraveled if, when cut, the threads come undone. And this can be quite tough to repair, so do bear in mind that they're not the most durable over time. When it comes to some everyday garments that use these types of knits, we have things like sweaters, terry robes, t-shirts, even men's and women's hosiery undergarments can use the single jersey weft knit construction method. That's pretty much it, guys, when it comes to the basics of knits. Obviously, there are a lot more different types of knits to go into, and we can do that in a separate video. I wanted to give you guys the basics of the standard knits that you see in everyday clothing, and to do that, I have to describe the single jersey weft knit. Hopefully, you have a better idea of how knits look, how to identify them, and if you guys want to see the key differences between knits and woven fabrics, I highly recommend you check out a great video that we've done in the past. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Fittdesign TV. If you guys want to see more technical videos like this, smash a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. Until next episode, stay awesome.